Welcome back, friends. Today we are making an espresso martini. So this is our last of the Neo Martinis, right? We started off with, the Martini Primer, the Martini Masterclass. Then we switched into the classic martinis, our classic martini variants. Then we switched to the Neo Martinis, right? The martinis in name only, martinis that are not really martinis, but they're just served in martini glass so everybody says they're martinis. And this is our last one, the Espresso Martini. This is, so it's funny because these days the espresso martini doesn't have to have espresso. A lot of recipes are calling for it with cold brew instead of espresso. Still gives you that pick-me-up, still gives you that high caffeine jolt, but it's easier. I think that the fact that they're making it with cold brew is probably making espresso martinis easier. I do feel that there was a period in time where bartenders hated to make espresso martinis just because the pouring of the fresh shot of hot espresso, rapidly chilling it, was just something that, especially on a busy night, was going to slow down the workflow. And I will tell you, I don't know what it is about the espresso martini. Somebody orders it and you see it being made and other people want it. I've seen it on multiple occasions. I think it's maybe that people don't think about espresso martinis and they just automatically, when they think about it, or I should say when they see it, they're reminded, hey, I like that. I'm going to go for that. It gives me the pick-me-up of the coffee, the alcohol. It's sweet. It's refreshing. It's a fun drink. But like I said, I know at one point in time, at least many of the bartenders I knew hated making it. I've seen sitting at the bar, bartenders react, and it's a visceral reaction when somebody puts the order in. So like I said, that's something where I did... like I said, at least at one point in time, it was something that bartenders did not like to make. Now, I do think it's gotten a little bit easier. I'm sure there's still people who don't like to make it just because it is an involved process. But at the same time, like I said, I know I've seen more during the Puerto Rico trip, at the bar that we were sitting at for an extended period of time, we did see multiple espresso martinis being made, and they were pulling out the cold brew, and it made it a lot easier as opposed to having to go through and, like I said, pour that fresh shot every time. Ingredients, we have vodka, some sort of coffee liqueur. I'm using Miami Club's Cuban coffee. I did pour a fresh shot of espresso, and actually I still have some leftover of my vanilla simple syrup from what was it that I used it for the other day? Oh, the Porn Star Martini. And it was, so I still had some of that. So I'm going to be using that up today. And I figure the vanilla is going to give a nice finish to this drink. Another fun fact about the Espresso Martini is the fact that you can play with the specs, right? If you want to make it more vodka heavy, if you want to make it more coffee-centric, if you want to make it a little bit lighter, if you want to make it sweeter, you can play around with any of those. I'm actually doing 2 parts vodka, 1 part coffee liqueur, 1 part espresso, and a half part of the simple syrup. Last note I have on the Espresso Martini is that it is the garnish for the Espresso Martini. Usually it's one of 2 things. Some people will... Once you shake up the martini, you're going to see it. I'm hoping I get the same effect. Usually get a nice foamy top. A lot of people will sprinkle a little bit of ground espresso or instant coffee on top of that to give you a nice garnish. I prefer actually adding 3 espresso beans. Why 3? Because, I don't know, it's superstition. It's the same thing with Sambuca. Whenever you have Sambuca, you're supposed to put 3 espresso beans in it. The 3 beans are symbolic for health, happiness, and prosperity. So, like I said, I think I like to add that. I think I said everything I need to. It's again, like I said before, when I started this is a Neo Martini, a martini in name only, not really your classic type martini. Yeah, I think that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and start building the drink. All right, let's start off by chilling the glass. I could have done this in the coupes, but now that I have the martini glasses, I'm definitely using them. And as I alluded to before, because this is the ingredients in this need to be shaken, we're going to be building it in the Boston shaker. All right, so 2 parts. Vodka. I'm using Goodnight Lovin'. All right. We're going to do 1 part of our coffee liqueur. All right, we're going to do 1 part of our fresh espresso. And we're going to add a half measure of our simple syrup. And like I said, I'm using my vanilla simple syrup that I used for the porn star martini the other day. All right. And that is that. All right, so we're going to close this up, shake it up, pray that I don't make a big mess. And here we go, the Espresso Martini. All right, so we got it nice and chilled. You can tell it's all frosted in the glass. And look at how foamy this is. Beautiful. All right, we're going to strain it into our chilled glass. And like I said, 3 espresso beans. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. All right. The Espresso Martini. Ooh, cheers. Oh, that is good. All right, so what I like about the Espresso Martini is it is spirit forward. So even though you have the coffee in it, you taste the alcohol. You feel that you're drinking alcohol. The advantage of using the vodka in conjunction with your coffee liqueur is usually coffee liqueur, I feel, in my opinion, is very sweet. Doesn't matter if we're talking about Kahlua, if we're talking about this Miami Club, any of the coffee liqueurs that I've had, the Patron coffee, they all have a very, at least in my opinion, they have sweet undertones. So I feel that the vodka gives it more potency while balancing out the sweetness from the coffee liqueur. The simple syrup, I'm not even getting the hints of vanilla in this. It just got a little bit of sweetness. Definitely taste the coffee. Yeah, that is amazing. All right, guys, that's everything for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to finish this off screen like I always do. Well, like I mostly do. I didn't for one of my cocktails a few weeks back. But anyways, guys, like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have anything to add about this, any questions or comments about it. My last martini for the set is actually going to be a Espresso Martini variant. But tune in next time and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Cheers.